Hey guys, Mental Breakdown here. So if you followed me for a while, you will know that I already did the episode for Avenged Sevenfold in my Rank 'em All series. But yes, for a while I wanted to do it all over again because there's a new album to add to that list. The stage that came out in October last year, and I just realized that I did the video only 5 days before the stage was released. Of course, it was a surprise release, so I could not have predicted that it would have been released in the next few days, but still. And yeah, for a while I was like, oh, I'll wait a bit more because I really wanted to really understand the stage really well to place it in a fair position and not just put it really high because it's a new album. And it's so fucking fun when your favorite band releases a new album. In that case, you're often like, you want to put it high on the list just because it's new. It often happened to me with my favorite band, and after a few months I'm like, oh, that album was not that good after all. Also, I rewatched the episode 4 that I already made for Avenged Sevenfold, and it was pretty bad. In many occasions I laughed at myself because of how bad it was, so I'll try to do it way better this time. And yeah, I'll also try to keep it shorter even if there's one more album to that list, because 15 minutes was fucking way too long. So yeah, did my ranking change or will it still be the same? And the biggest question in that video, where will the stage land? We'll find out right fucking now, so let's fucking do this. So, in the last position, I'm still keeping the same album. I'll put Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, and I'll tell you why. And I'll try to explain that way better than I did in the previous video because it sucked. But yeah, the reason why it's last on the list, it's because it was their debut album. They were still not really well established with their own sounds. I feel like they were going maybe in all the direction and not really focusing on one good idea. And this album is really unprofessional because if you know Avenged Sevenfold pretty well, you will know that this album was not even recorded with a metronome, so it's fucked up to think about it, that a big band big as them did an album like that. But everyone's gotta start somewhere, and to be honest, it's a pretty damn good album, even with all that said. But yeah, there's a lot of different elements in that album. It starts with a pretty fucking brutal song, Turn the Other Way, after the intro to End the Rapture. And there's a lot of other good moments like The Art of Subconscious Illusion, which is probably my favorite track of the album. But there's other moments that you're like, what the fuck was going on? Like Warmness on the Soul is ballad, and it's so fucking different than everything you've got on that album. And Matt's singing was not the best back then, so it's fun to listen to that now. And there's the punk song that sounds like a Bad Religion song, Streets, which doesn't fit at all with the rest of the album, but still pretty cool. So yeah, back then in 2001, Avenged Sevenfold were still trying to find what kind of music they wanted to make, and they really found their feet in the next album, Waking the Fallen, which I'll talk about later. In the 6th position, again the same as in my last video, I'm still putting Hail to the King. It's a strong album, really straightforward rock album. That's what they wanted to make. They wanted to make an album that sounds like what their idol made in the late 80s or early 90s, just like Metallica's Black Album, and yeah, some song that will sound more like Iron Maiden. I'm talking about Coming Home, which has a really huge Iron Maiden feel, sorry. And there's also another song, Doing Time, which is really similar to Axl singing Guns N' Roses. But at the end of the album, the last two songs, Planet and Acid Rains, has really an Avenged Sevenfold sound, despite the fact that it sounds more like classic rock. So yeah, that was a really good part in the album. But overall, that's not the Avenged Sevenfold that I want. I want a more metal band and more proggy stuff like in the stage. So yeah, we'll get back to that soon. And yeah, there's even This Means War, which sounds so similar to Sad But True, but that record was still pretty cool and I enjoyed it a lot. After that, in 5th position, the self-titled Avenged Sevenfold. You could say that this album is quite experimental, but at the same time, not that much, because yeah, there's not really a lot of fucking long song, the longest being A Little Piece of Heaven, which is 8 minutes. That's the long track and that's really experimental, but other than that, Gunslinger, Lost, Dear God, Almost Easy are all songs that could play on radio easily, and they're not boring, but I've listened to that album so much that I'm like, it's hard for me to listen to that album these days because it kind of got generic a bit to me. Still better than Hell to the King, but could have been way better. But there's still such amazing song on that album, like Critical Acclaim, which they should play again live. They stopped playing it in fall last year when they came back after a 1-year break, and they should put that song back in the set list. The first time I saw them back in 2013, it was the song that they opened their set with, and it was incredible and such a cool song to perform live with a part that Genie is singing, which yeah, they should put it back, please. Other than that, Brompton Cocktail is fantastic, one of my favorite songs of their entire discography, such a beautiful song. And Afterlife, which is a classic for them, and the solo by Sid on that one is monstrous, it's incredible. So, yeah, after that, City of Evil is next, guys. So in the 4th position, since I made the last video, I've listened a lot to that album, and I've gotta admit that I like it even more than before. Such an impressive album. A lot of people considered it as the best album of Avenged Sevenfold. For me, it's clearly not the case since I ranked it in 4th place, which is really not that bad for my favorite band. This album is a masterpiece, but you'll understand better with the top 3. So this album is really strong. Strain of the World is such a underrated song. Other than that, Blind in Chains is fantastic. The drumming in that song is insane, and that's why I miss the rev even more while listening to that track. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. Another song that I wish they would put back in the set list, MIA. It would sound fucking cool live. I had the chance to hear Burn It Down in 2014 during the Shepherd of Fire tour, but it would not be one of my favorite choice to pick in a set list, but it was still pretty cool. A really strong album overall, which changed a lot their sound after Waking the Fallen. The first track that people heard after Waking the Fallen was Beast and the Harlot, and the beginning and the first verse is fucking brutal. Well, there's no screams, but the instrumental is fucking heavy, and the chorus, not a big fan of that one. Still a good song, but I understand why people were pissed off with that chorus at first, because it's so fucking different and it's hard to get used to it when the only album by Avenged you have listened to is Waking the Fallen and Sounding Silent Trumpet. So yeah, fucking strong album, but there's better, and yeah, we'll find out in the top 3. So in 3rd position right now, will I name the stage? No, not right now, we're not there yet, but soon. So I put Waking the Fallen. After the album that was Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. That was a pretty good start, but not good enough to put them in front of the metal scene. But that album, Waking the Fallen, break everything. And it's considered to this day one of the best metalcore album of all time, and I agree with that. Another fucking great metalcore album for me. The top 3 would be like Waking the Fallen by Avenged Sevenfold, Ascendancy by tRUMPET, if you consider it metalcore, and Alive or Just Breathing by Killswitch Engage, which is a masterpiece too. All 3 are fucking 10 on 10 album. So yeah, there's not a bad song on Waking the Fallen. I could not name one. It's a beast from starts to finish. I Won't See You Tonight Part 2 is so brutal. If you only listen to Avenged Sevenfold, newer stuff, listen to that one. You will not even think it's them because it's so brutal and so different, but you will love it. And like I said, I could name all the songs on this album, all the 12 songs, all 11 if you remove the intro, and I could not name one that is bad. It's at least all 9.5 on 10 for each and every one of them. But my favorite track would have to be I Won't See You Tonight Part 2, or Second Heartbeat, or Unholy Confession, or Desecrate True Reverence. I don't know, man. It's so hard to choose from that album, but yeah, we've got to move on to the second place, and now it's finally time to put this stage. And I've hesitated a lot in the last few months between if I put Waking the Fallen or the stage in the second position, and the stage has to be in second because it's insane. The first track, the stage, which was the first single, is at least in my top 3 of my favorite Avenged Sevenfold song of all time. When I first heard it, I was like so in love with it, and I was like, oh, it will probably last only a few weeks, and after that I will say, oh, it's good, but not that much. But that didn't change at all. This song is a masterpiece. It's an 8-minute and 30 track, and it feels like a 3-minute track every time I'm listening to it, even if I've listened to it for like 100 times now. After that, Paradigm, fucking great track. I hope it will be the third single because it would make an amazing video. Sunny Disposition was such a good surprise with the horns and everything. It's mind-blowing. After that, Goddamn, Creating God, Angel, Simulation, Ire, Roman Sky, Fermi Paradox, which at first I did not like that much, but it's probably the song that grew on me the most. Now it's one of my favorite of the album, and the ending track of the album, Exist, which is fantastic. Sinister Gates and Zaki Vengeance and Brooks Wachterman at their best. It's simply insane. My least favorite track on the album would probably be Simulation. It's good, but it just feels too weird for me. But I still like the song. And Angels, I didn't like it at first, but it's another song that now I just found it beautiful. And yeah, it was their first kind of concept album, and they nailed it. Every song lyrically is insane, and it's almost close as being my favorite Avenged Sevenfold album. But yeah, now you've got to know that my favorite, not my first, but yeah, it's the first at the same time in the ranking. But my favorite Avenged Sevenfold album is still Nightmare, because it's really like mostly the album that made me love metal so much and really took me into metal. In 2010 when it was released, I was like 13 years old, and yeah, I've listened to metal before that, but this is the album that really make me want to like really be into metal, and basically now that's my biggest passion in life, metal music. It represents everything to me, and that's all because of that album. Every song on that album is good for me. Some people would say that the part with Victim, Tonight the World Dies, Fiction is weaker, but for me, these songs are all beautiful, and with what happened to Jimmy, it's sad, but such a strong album. Save Me, the ending track, is my favorite track of all time. beautiful, and God Ate Sauce, fucking brutal track featuring screams by M Shadows. I wish he would go back to that, at least for one song, and I don't want him to, like, scream the whole track. That's not what I want. Well, it would be cool, but that's not what I'm asking for. Just like God Ate Us, I want another track like that. Maybe in the next album. Would be fucking fantastic. So, yeah, you have it now for my, Rank 'em All episode 4.1 Avenged Sevenfold. I'll try to cut it right here because I think it will be longer than the first version of that Rank 'em All episode. But at least I think it was a bit better, and yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you agree with my ranking, or is it something else completely? If you're new here, you love Avenged Sevenfold as much as me, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next video.